Well, hello everybody. It's been a couple weeks. We are live on YouTube. It is officially 3 o'clock Eastern time. My name is Jared Fuller, aka the Jared Bear. Joining me off camera this week is Dad. Amy is sitting next to him on the couch, which you cannot see her, but you may potentially hear her. Um, so I had decided to take a couple of weeks off from doing any of these because, as you know, um, my grandpa Fuller had passed away on May 26th, and the funeral was on the 3rd. The viewing was on his birthday, which would have been his 83rd birthday. And yeah, on June 2nd, it would have been his 83rd birthday. And June 3rd was the funeral and the burial and all that stuff. Um, it was a rough couple of weeks to say the least. Uh, we still have our moments where we think about grandpa, we miss him, we'll cry, we'll break down. We don't know yet the cause of death. We're still waiting on autopsy results. My family, well, my dad and my uncles and I have been having a very hard time with everything going on, um, which is why I decided to take those couple of weeks off because it was the week of the funeral for the one week, and then the next week, I just didn't feel like coming on here to talk about what's been going on because I felt that at that time it was too soon to discuss what was going on. Um, but we are, today I think we're doing pretty good. As the days wear on, as time progresses, I think the days get easier little by little each day. We still have our moments, where we'll think about grandpa and we'll cry or break down or whatever. Um, but we're hanging in there. We are doing the absolute best we can to move forward each and every day. Every day is a new day, and we're just always wishing for the best, looking for for better days, brighter days. And there's just a lot going on that I can't discuss here because it's just not a proper place to discuss things that cannot be discussed openly or publicly. But what I can say is that we're awaiting results of the autopsy on my grandpa. And the sad thing about all of this is that we were at his house on Tuesday, the Tuesday before his passing, and it was an experience like no other. I'll kind of briefly touch on that and move on quickly. We went over there when we got the phone call on the morning of the 26th of May from Uncle Tim because Uncle Tim was he was in hysterics, and we drove out to Grandpa's and we found him on the kitchen floor, and I was there when they put him in the body bag, they put him on the stretcher, and when they wheeled him out to the hearse, I was there for all of that. And that is the main core of what I have been dealing with. That's been the hardest of the entire situation, not just because grandpa had suddenly passed away after having visited with him on the Tuesday prior, because he said he was healthy. He said his lungs looked good, his heart looked good. He was healthier than most people. And so this came as a bit of a shock to all of us. And that was the hardest part for me. Yeah, my Martha would have been Grandma Martha would have been 85 on the 24th, and then Grandpa passed away 2 days later. Um, and that, like I said, that was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to see. Yeah, I know, Dad. It was after Aunt Cheryl's birthday too, but we're focused on this at the moment. So it's it was probably the hardest. Um, because before that, um, in all the years I've lived on this planet, I have never actually saw a corpse outside of a funeral home until May 26th of 2022 when I found my grandpa. And it, like I said, it was an all around different experience. And um, I think about that image comes to my mind frequently. And um,
Now you know what your cousins feel like because I'll never.
yeah, I know. I know, like Dad pointed out, my cousins when they found their mom on the floor, but I'm talking Grandpa right now. Um, but I didn't know. I had no idea up until that moment what it was like to see a corpse outside of a funeral home. And so I've been kind of having trouble with that. And, like I said, I have my moments, just like Dad over here. He has his moments. We all have our moments. We cry. And, but as I said, as the days wear on, as time progresses, the days seem to get a little easier more and more each day. And, I can think back on the times that I had with Grandpa. Um, I have memories with him. He told me he loved me when I was there on the Tuesday prior to his death. He gave me a hug, gave me a kiss on the neck. He says, "I love you, son." I said, "I love you too, Grandpa, and I'll see you around." Um, and coupled with what I had witnessed, that made that experience a little more difficult to deal with because, um, at least I had that final moment with my grandpa where he told me he loved me, and I got to tell him I loved him too. So we made sure that we told each other. Um, Now, as far as Grandpa having any pre-existing health conditions, I'm not aware of. If Grandpa did have some problems with his heart or whatever the case may be, he never told anybody. I would assume that maybe he just didn't want to worry the kids, but he could have told us, and that's kind of the one thing that upsets me is that if Grandpa did have a medical condition, if he had a failing heart or if something was wrong with him, he could have at least told us. Um, if something was wrong. I would have went over to Grandpa's and I would have, if he needed a ride somewhere, which I've given Grandpa rides, when he needed to. Matter of fact, when he had to take his Cadillac over to a shop to get repaired, I followed him over there, and then I took him back home, and he says, "Well," he asked me, he says, "Well, are you hungry?" And maybe just a little bit, and he says, "Well, good, let's go to Hope's." And he's talking about Junction of Hope. As I uploaded a video of the Junction of Hope here on my channel. So we went there and we had our usual breakfast. But I noticed when we were sitting there that Grandpa could not finish his plate. Mind you, my grandpa could always finish his plate. My grandpa had a big appetite, and on that day, I noticed he couldn't finish his food. He couldn't eat it all, and I asked him, "Are you okay, Grandpa?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I'm just full. I'm really full. I had coffee before we left." Um, but again, like I said, nobody knew if he had problems with his heart or his lungs or whatever the case may be. We just don't know because he never told anybody in that regard. So until such time as the autopsy results come back, we don't know what the cause of his passing was. And I think that's what's keeping us. We're angry and we're upset that this happened. We're sad, we're heartbroken, we're gutted that Grandpa passed away. Just unexpectedly after having said that he was healthier than most young people, and then just like that, gone. Yeah, so that stirs a lot of questions. There's a lot of unknown things going on, and honestly waiting results of the autopsy. And until such time as that comes back, which that autopsies can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. Um, they have to determine was there foul play involved, which we're hoping it wasn't that. If Grandpa did have a existing health condition like a heart attack or whatever, what the cause of his death, it might be a little easier to handle, might be a little easier to deal with. If Grandpa did have a heart attack, okay. Um, it was just his time. It is what it is all the kids say nowadays. Um, but we are anxiously awaiting, and I think a small part of us is dreading the results because I think we're afraid that we might find something out that we don't want to hear, a small part of us, but then we also want to know. We have to know. Um, and so, emotions have been everywhere, 1,000 miles an hour in 500 different directions. It has been really rough these past couple weeks. They have been unbearable. The pain has been unimaginable, just beyond measure. And today is a new day, and we are getting through it. Dad and I, we've been keeping an eye on each other. We've been leaning on one another for support. And today is, I think it's safe to say today might be a better day. Today might be a better day. We've been watching game shows all day. We just got done watching Match Game 74. And now we're watching the Match Game Hollywood Squares Hour on the Buzzer Network. So with I wanted to make sure I got that main point out of the way, that we are still waiting autopsy results, and the pain of losing grandpa is still there. Still sad and heartbroken. But I think I'm getting better. I think that as I've said, as the days go on, I think that the pain is a little more manageable, and we're just hanging in there. So, Dad, I'm gonna turn the floor over to you. If there's anything you wanted to say, how was your week?
Oh, it was good. Last night was good.
Last night was good.
With Dan.
Yeah. So as many of you know, I pointed this out before in prior Sunday video updates that my cousin Damien is a race car driver out at Owasso Speedway. He's only 14.
Yep.
He'll be 15 in July next month, and he's been doing really good. I don't go to the racetrack. I don't go to Owasso Speedway. I haven't been out there in a very long time. When I was a teenager, I used to go out there, but back in those days, which was like 20 years ago, there was a lot of drunks, a lot of problem people, a lot of fist fights, and that's why I stopped going out there. But it seems to be, I don't know. I'd like to think that maybe they're cleaning up their act over there, that they're getting a little more tighter. They're putting teeth on rules, and they're making sure that those rules stick. But my cousin Damien's doing pretty good. Did he take first place last night?
Yep. In the last race of the night.
Yeah.
The feature race.
Yeah. Now,
15 cars.
Now, mind you, like I said, I don't go to the Owasso Speedway, so I have no idea what goes on or who's racing, who's winning. I have no idea. It's just not my thing. I don't pay attention to that. But my cousin Damien races out there, so of course, I wish Damien all the best, and I hope that he is having fun and enjoying himself, and I hope he continues to whoop ass out there on the track. So there's that. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, it just got wet last night.
Yeah, we've been getting on again, off again rain and thunderstorms here in Michigan. Now this coming Wednesday, it's supposed to be 95 degrees. I'm not looking forward to that, but it's only supposed to be for one day. But there's going to be humidity tacked on with the 95-degree heat, which is going to make it really gross outside with the heat, humidity. The grass is really tall.
Maybe the grass will dry.
Yeah, maybe the grass will dry so we can cut. The grass is really tall right now. With the gas prices being over $5 a gallon, it's been difficult to keep the lawn mowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and repairing the lawnmower and all that. It's just been hectic. Dad says we might need a brush hog to take care of, which I think we will. It's going to come down to that. So it's been things have been kind of interesting lately. It's been rough going for the those 2 weeks that I was off of YouTube, and I didn't want to do the Sunday video update. But I am back, confident enough to come back to full viewers and listeners when I, upload daily rant recordings and things like that. I'm always happy to come back and to talk with people. And the chat log is open, by the way. Behave yourself or you'll be booted, and it's as simple as that. But you can come in and say hello. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about, as long as it's reasonable and within bounds of what I would like to discuss. If you're coming here being an asshole, you're gone. And I make that very well known. And I don't skip a beat. So how's Amy been doing?
Amy's been hanging in there.
Hanging in there. Yeah, I think that's been the theme of
Trying to stay strong, and it's hard when you got people criticizing you.
Yeah, it's been I think that's been the theme of the past couple of weeks. We're all just hanging in there. We're trying to stay strong. I did upload a video, and I hope you had a chance to watch it. So we were at the BP gas station last week. Dad went in to get a pack of cigarettes, and I sat in my van, and I'm, scrolling through my Facebook notifications, and I look up and I see this 4-legged creature come walking out from behind the gas station. I thought someone might have lost their dog. And when I looked up again, I noticed that this 4-legged creature was brown and had white spots on it. And I had to look closely, and it's like, oh my God. So I busted out the phone and I started video recording, and I don't know how anyone else didn't see it. But I instantly noticed. And if you saw the video, it kind of speaks for itself.
Like he was coming to you for shelter.
Yeah, well, he didn't come directly to me, but he was walking down the edge of the building, and then he proceeded towards the front of the store where people walk in and out. And I was so afraid that she was going to get hit with a door. But I'm kind of floored, or at least puzzled, as to how no one else saw the deer, because she walked right in front of the doors. Like, how do you not see that? Yeah, me.
Oh, it was you?
Yeah, because when she came walking out, she says, "Hey, what's up?" And I told her, I said, "Look to your right. Look to your right. Look over." And she looked over and she says, "Oh my God." Well, you guys saw the video. I don't have to really get into that. But yeah, it was quite the experience. And we feel pretty good about ourselves, and we made the right decision by releasing her back into the wild. And a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks on Facebook, they were all like, "Well, this is what I would have done." Well, you know what? It's easy for you to say what you would do when you're not the one fucking doing it. And furthermore, after the fact, what you would have done is irrelevant, because it doesn't matter. What's already been done has already been done. And I understand people are friendly, and they're just trying to, they show their concern, which, that's my friends. Those are my friends. They show their concern. But to tell me after the fact what you would have done is irrelevant to what's already happened. So I was kind of annoyed with that. And it's like, I really don't give a fuck what you would have done. And instead of being rude and saying something like that, I just ignore it. I leave it and I move on. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the past, I don't know, month or two on Facebook, because I don't want to come off as rude and condescending. Most people think I'm rude and condescending anyway. But for the most part, I mean, I just tend to not give into that. I tend to not show that attention, because, what's done is done. And I'm really not interested in what you would have done, because, as I said, it's always easy to express what you would have done when it's not you doing it. I think we used our best judgment. We released the deer back into the wild, or at least I would hope. And nature's going to run its course from there. I mean, there were people on my Facebook saying, well, I hope nothing happens to her. Well, I can't stop that from happening. It's in the wild. Nature's going to run its course. Whatever happens, happens. I can't control that. I hope nothing happened to the deer, but that's out of my hands. That's out of my control. And that's just the result of people who have kind, caring hearts, and they don't want to see a baby. I don't want to see the baby deer get hurt. I don't want to see any baby get hurt. But there's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands. But as far as releasing it into the wild, I think we made a pretty good call. I think it was with the best judgment, and I'm pretty happy about what I did, and Dad is happy about what he did, and Mel, who works at the gas station, Melanie, she came out and I directed her to the deer. If you watch the video, her name is Melanie. She made the best judgment, and I we're all satisfied with the decision we made, and I'm just hoping that everything worked out fine. What's that? Oh, I was just telling the viewers about that deer that we, of course, people can watch the video if they want to. But, as I pointed out, Dad's joining us again. Just to briefly reiterate, there were people on Facebook telling me what they would have done. And it's like, what you would have done is irrelevant to what's already been done. So while I do appreciate the concern, the Monday morning quarterbacks coming out saying what they would have done, I don't care. I genuinely do not give a fuck, because you weren't there, and it's always easy to say what you would do when you're not the one doing it. So, and I try to refrain from coming off as condescending on Facebook and being snarky and rude with people, because that's not what I wanted to do. So I just, for most of the comments on my post, I just ignore them, because I'm going to say something that's really mean, and I don't want to come off as a mean person.
Well, like they said, I'd have left them alone. Wait for Mama to come and get us.
Well,
Mama wasn't nowhere around me, because if she was, she would have bladdered.
Yeah,
out.
they saw the video.
Baby back.
They saw the video. The video's on YouTube.
So Mama was bladdered. The deal would have went back there, and it didn't. It was lost.
We called the police. They said there was nothing they can do. I called the DNR field. Charles, there was nothing they were closed.
So we decided.
So we used our best judgment, and we released the deer back into the wild.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure another Mama took over.
Yeah, I think the other deer have incorporated it, and they decided to look on after it. Yeah. So, but there were people on Facebook, as I said a few minutes ago, there were people on Facebook saying, well, I hope nothing bad happens to her in the wild. That's out of our hands.
That's nature.
That's out of our hands. We released her back into her natural habitat. Once that happens, that's out of our hands.
Right.
What happens from that moment on is out of our control. Now,
we thought was right.
Yeah, and we did what we thought was right, but we, at the same time, we also, deep down, we hope nothing horrible, terrible has happened to that baby deer, because it was a baby. It was probably 2 or 3 days old. But again, what happens after that is out of our control. That's out of our hands.
Let it go towards the road.
No, but we did a good thing.
Yeah, but
and
we didn't let it
no, we didn't.
Running in the
We didn't.
Gas station, because those big trucks come in there, or cars, they might not see it and hit it. So
they saw the video, Dad. I have it on video where we took it out to the field and released it.
Took off.
And then she took off.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So we did the right thing.
And everybody we talked to said, you did a good job. And
that one girl was me.
Oh.
And yes, I did tell someone to shut the fuck up in the video, because we are aware of the situation. We don't need, the the play-by-play commentary of what, well, you know, because of Mama Deer, we fucking know this already. Just zip it. We know, which is why we're taking the actions that we're taking. We are country people. We know how deer are. Most of my family hunts. We know how that works. We don't need an explanation. Well, a Mama Deer wouldn't leave. Just shut up. We get it. No, that was a different woman. That was a different woman. I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the other woman that I told to shut the fuck up because she was annoying. But the other woman, like you said, yes, she said, well, you know, we can take it somewhere. You know, I know a person who will feed it and all this, that, and the other.
No, that's illegal.
That is illegal. To own a deer as a pet is illegal unless you have a license to do it. I you know, and there were people telling me, well, just put it in your van. Okay, and are you going to pay for the damages to my vehicle? You're going to pay the fine should I get pulled over? Again, it's easy to say when it's not you doing it. Well, why don't we just put it in your vehicle? Well, Jared, we can't do that. Well, why can't we? See what I mean? It's always easy to say what they would have done when it's not them doing it. But anyway, I think I made a point. But yeah, so it's been an interesting week. And again, we're proud of what we did.
Yep.
We did a good thing, and I do it again 1,000 times.
Yeah, you made the right choice.
And I know Mel, she's really proud of herself too, which you know, I have to give her credit. You know, I have to give her credit. She really came through, and she used her best judgments as well.
You give me a blanket to put over it, so cover his eyes, so calm it
Yep.
down.
Yep. They saw the video.
Yep.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. And we do get caught in the most peculiar situations.
We do.
You and I, when we're together, some weird shit happens. Unexpected shit goes on all the time. Yeah, that was cool. But see, I love living in the country because, man, we get it all out here.
I even talked to a turkey the other day.
Yeah, about that. We looked out our kitchen window, and there was a turkey in the backyard where our neighbor Carol used to live at, and it was gobbling, and Dad gobbled back, and it gobbled back at Dad, and Dad gobbled at it, and then it fanned its feathers out. It's like, I don't think you want that to happen. I don't think you want that to happen. Yeah, stay in the house until that bad boy's gone. It's like, okay. Yeah, there were a couple of big, fat garden snakes. I don't like snakes either. They slithered up from under the porch because our front porch, where you walk out, there's openings, there's crevices between the boards, and they coil up under the porch. So when it's warm outside or when we get tall grass, they slither up.
Well, I walk out on the porch
And
they're curled up.
Yeah, it's coiled up on the front porch, and
Scared the hell out of me.
yeah.
Ooh.
We do not like snakes. I'm not a fan of snakes. I don't like mice. I don't like spiders. But you know, we live in the country, and that is to be expected. That is to be expected. But we don't need an overpopulation of snakes. And so that's why we had to get rid of them as quickly as possible. You're taking off?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a ride, get my head.
I'm gonna go out in the camper.
My head but loosen up a little bit in the wind and
Yeah.
my ears and
Yeah.
my hair. Oh.
But
camper and he's right there. Said camper.
So these two are going to be leaving me, and I'm going to be here for the remainder of the video. And I thank all of you, by the way. I wanted to use this time to thank all of you for watching today, this week, and for coming back after a 2-week break. It's been, it was, I wouldn't say hiatus because it was anything but a vacation. It was I used the 2 weeks I had taken off to kind of get my thoughts together, to grieve, to mourn. But I am back this week, and we seem to be doing okay. Well, he got up. We seem to be doing okay. Things are starting to get a little better, a little easier to deal with, and we're hanging in there. We're doing the best we can. And I also want to thank those of you, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I also wanted to thank those of you who you've been reaching out, email and text message, and she's making a lot of racket with that plastic bag. I wanted to thank those of you who you've been calling me and reaching out in text message, pinging me on Messenger. All of that is very much appreciated.
All right, son, I'll be back in a bit.
Okay, that's all very much appreciated, and I just wanted to thank you guys for being my rock for these past couple weeks, because it's been absolute hell. And we are doing everything we can. Like I said, Dad's going to be, he said he was going to take off on the motorcycle, which is fine, to clear his head. I don't know if he suspected that I was going to talk about Grandpa this week, but it has been the more pressing issue of what's been happening in our lives lately by losing my grandfather. And like I said, the days are getting better. Like in the beginning, it was really tough. It was really rough and tumble. But after Grandpa, we had his funeral. We buried him. He's buried next to Martha over at the Garfield Cemetery, which is at the corner of M52 and Lakefield Road. It's north of St. Charles, just before the curve. So, we were there for that. And of course we were there for that. And, that dog you hear barking, that's my brother's dog. And he is annoying as fuck. He just barks at everything and everybody. I love dogs. So, don't get any bad impressions of, oh, Jared hates animals. No, I love animals. I just don't like dogs that constantly bark at everything and everybody. It's annoying. But the hard part was the hardest part was seeing Grandpa on the floor, and then the next to the hardest part was saying goodbye at the funeral. Now I have no more grandparents. All my grandparents are gone, and so yeah, I've been dealing with that. I've been communicating with family and more friends than anything. They really know how to keep me afloat, and the love and support that they've shown has just been remarkable. And they really came through for me when I hit this wall, losing my grandpa. But we're doing okay. I think we're gonna be all right. And every now and again, like I pointed out, Dad has his moments. I have my moments. Sometimes we're together when we have our moments, and sometimes we're apart when we have our moments. But in any event, I think we're going to be okay. Grandpa would tell us to, life goes on. Just live your life, And we would have suspected. My Uncle Danny pointed this out. We would have suspected because Grandpa was a very spry person. Like, he was full of energy. He was going here, going there. He was always running the roads. We would have thought at least he would have lived well into his 90s. We didn't think Grandpa would have passed away so suddenly. We thought that he had at least another 10 good years, because he was a very active guy. And we were wrong. We were very wrong about that. I haven't been to my Uncle Danny's house since the funeral, or since before the funeral. But I imagine I'll take a drive over to Uncle Danny's and to check on him and see how he's doing. And, we will stick together, and we will help each other get through this painful time. Yeah, it's I tried to write a poem about grandpa and I could not find the right words to say. I It's still a shock. It's still a shock. And I have not written a poem about my grandpa. Um, the song that there were 4 songs that they played at grandpa's funeral. And the first song was Grandpa by the Judds. Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. And rest assured, Grandpa did tell me about the good old days whenever I went to his house. He talked about, you know, things that happened in the 40s and the 50s, before he had kids. When he was in his younger days, um, he always used to tell me about the good old days. So for me, that hit particularly hard because, and this is not a pissing match. Grieving is never a pissing match, and I understand that my cousins, they have families of their own, they have jobs, they have children. They've got things to do. They have the family life going on. But out of all of us grandkids, I frequented going to grandpa's. I went over there quite a bit. Um, Dad would want to go over there and I'd say, okay, I'll ride with you. Or, yeah, I'm going to go to grandpa's. You want to ride along? Yeah, okay. I was over at grandpa's the most out of all of us grandkids. And like I said, again, that's not me being condescending or, me saying something that's out of line or, I'm not being a jerk when I say it. I'm just stating a fact that I was over at grandpa's quite a bit. And, grandpa, he used to talk about a lot of things. He used to talk about when he was a kid. He used to talk about, when my dad was a kid, when us kids were growing up. But he talked about the places he's been. He talked about going to the casino. He talked about, actually, he talked more about the casino and places he's been more than he's ever talked about my dad or my uncles or whatever when they were kids. Don't want to get into that too much, but he told me about the old day, like the good old days. And it was nice to have those conversations with grandpa and, just to tell him how I'm doing, because one of the things that I loved about going to grandpa's is whenever something exciting would happen, like that deer, for example, the deer that dad and I had seen. That would have been something that we would have shared with grandpa. That would have been a defining moment for us. And we would have shared that with grandpa, that we would have been excited to tell him about that because grandpa was always intrigued by some of the stories we tell him, we'd be sitting at his kitchen table and he would be wearing his suspenders and he'd be smoking, puffing on a Marlboro and he'd be watching his Westerns. Now that's done. Now that's gone. I won't have that no more. I won't have that experience ever again for the rest of my life. But, and it was those moments, like I said, with the deer, we would have shared that with grandpa. Grandpa would have loved to have heard stories like that. If it wasn't for grandpa, I actually wouldn't have learned how to make chili because grandpa always made big pots of chili. And that's actually where I learned how to make chili, by adding the certain ingredients. And, my chili always turns out good. I make it really rich and tomato-y, and I add my special ingredients to it. But I learned a lot from grandpa. I can't say I learned a shit ton from my grandpa, but I learned some things. I learned quite a bit. And there were a lot of things that I've done in my life, like I travel a lot. I have lots of friends. Grandpa never understood, like, why do you write journals? Why do you, why do you want to, go here, go there? Why do you talk so much about childhood cancer? Those were things that my grandpa never understood. And it never bothered me. Like, I live my life a certain way where I don't have to explain why I do what I do, or I don't have to explain why I'm friends with this person, that person. That's my business. That's my life. He never understood a lot of things. You know, he actually said something to me, you know, that many others before him have told me. And I've heard this a gazillion times. Well, you know, you don't remember having cancer as a kid, so how can it affect you so much? And respectfully, you know, because it's Grandpa, I say, well, Grandpa, just because I don't remember it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect me. Hey, buddy. Hey. My dogs. I told him, just because I don't remember it doesn't mean that it doesn't still affect me. I'm allergic to the sun. And so we had that conversation, and he says, well, that's true. Well, yeah, of course it's true. But anybody else, you know, because they say it, when they say it, they say it in a condescending way. Well, why? I don't know why it could bother you so much you don't even remember it. Because it doesn't fucking matter if I remember it. It still happened. It doesn't take away from the fact that it still happened. But yeah, so we had those conversations. But anyway, you know, I think about him. I'm gonna miss him. And it's not gonna be the same, you know, like going to Saginaw. That's gonna be different because I think of my grandpa when I go to Saginaw, because Grandpa worked at he was a steel worker for like 40 plus years, and he worked in Saginaw, and he built a lot of the structures around downtown Saginaw, like TV5, the TV station WNEM TV5. He welded the steel for the framework of that building. Bronner's Christmas Wonderland in Frankenmuth, he welded the steel for the framework of the addition of Bronner's. That was back in, I think, 91 or 92. A lot of the, you know, like at the hospitals, how you have those, the handrails when you're walking up or down the steps. Grandpa welded the steel for a lot of that. He built a radio station, WHNN, where WHNN is now today in Saginaw, right next to 675. He built that. He welded the steel for that. So my grandpa has his handiwork in and around Saginaw, in the greater Saginaw area, and right in downtown Saginaw. You know, he would tell me stories about places that he used to go to in Saginaw, like the Ipple building. And there used to be a theater in Saginaw years and years and years ago when he was a kid that he would always used to go to. He worked at a restaurant. He told me he was a cook at a restaurant many moons ago. He told me all kinds of stuff, including being a steel worker. You know, he did that the longest. But you know, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that Grandpa told me that stuck with me over the years. And I'm you know, I see, when I see a picture of his smile, I can hear his laugh. I'm just reminded so much of him. Look at a picture of him. And you know, the one thing, and I'm gonna bring this up because I think it's important. And that is, every time we have a funeral, every single time, doesn't matter for who, in the moment, because it fits the sad narrative of the funeral in that particular moment. Someone along the way always ends up saying, well, we all got to get together. We got to have a cookout, or we got to, you know, have a little gathering, get together at a park somewhere. We all got to get together and do something. But after that happens, nobody gets together. Everybody goes back to their normal lives with jobs and children, and doing what they normally did prior to the funeral. No one stays in touch. And every time someone brings that up, I'm so, you know, I'm just so desensitized to this. Every time someone says, well, we all got to get together and do something, I just roll my eyes like, why waste your fucking time? Nobody's going to get together. Nobody's going to get together because of the fact that we don't make it a point to see each other any other time on any given day. We don't make it a point to go and visit each other. We don't, you know, we don't plan anything together because you have relatives who think that they're up here and the rest of us are down here. And when there's that conflict, nobody wants to be around each other. We don't even like to be around each other at the fucking funerals, let alone are we going to get together outside of a funeral. And I'll admit, there's a lot of relatives that I don't care if I ever talk to them, especially the drunks. You know, I don't like to be around drunks all the time. Any of those in my family on both sides, and to do with them. I stopped smoking weed. That's all they want to do, get high. I don't. I don't like it. I used to smoke. I used to smoke weed. I haven't smoked weed in years. And because I gave up that vice, they don't know me anymore because I am the smell of it. And I don't like the way it makes me feel. So I stay away from those people who smoke the weed. I might have a beer on occasion, but I'm not a drunk. I'm not an alcoholic. I might have a couple of beers here or there on occasion, not a big deal. But it's people are all supposed to be family. But even at the funerals, we can't stand the sight of each other. We don't get along. We don't see eye to eye because of what this person heard or what that person said or what this person done or what there's always that conflict. There's always conflict going on. And it's like we can't stand each other, you know, when we're just casually out in public. We see each other, we avoid each other. We don't talk to one another. Why the fuck do you want to get together? What is it about this funeral that makes you think that at some point suddenly, oh, well, you know, let's all just get together and we can pretend to be a great big happy family. That's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And, you know, is it sad? Yes, it is sad because I would love to actually, you know, see my family and to be around my family and talk with my family. We're supposed to be family. But that never happens. See, I have friends who treat me more like family than my actual family does. And it's those people who want me around. That's where my family is. My relatives don't invite me over. They don't include me in anything. And furthermore, they all stick to their own clique. My Uncle Tim's kids, my Uncle Danny's kids, my Aunt Cheryl's kids, they're all over here and I'm right here on the side. Which is fine. I don't make it a big deal because that's power. I don't mind being the black sheep of my family. I really and truly do not give a fuck. Because I am the black sheep of the family, that gives me license to say I really and truly do not give a fuck. And I have been able to do more things. I have explored the world. You know, I've been around, I've been places, you know. I've done that on my own. I make friends. I have seen things. I have been places. I have done more on my own. And waiting for my so-called family to include me in anything is just a colossal waste of fucking time because they never include me. They never invite me. There's always some excuse. Never any legitimate reason. It's just an excuse. Well, Jared, you're allergic to the sun. Yes, I am allergic to the sun. And I can understand why waste the time of asking me if you know the answer is going to be no. I get it. Because I'm not a fisherman, I can't be out in the sun. But it's the fact that, you know, if you're going on a road trip up north or just anywhere, you know, just a road trip, just to go to a park or do something up north, they never ask me, which is fine because, you know, I used to get really upset when they never included me or involved me in anything. But now after kind of sitting back and observing, it's like you guys are just holding me back. I'm waiting for you to include me. And that's where I made the mistake, because when I venture off on my own, I do my own thing, what I want, when I want. I've seen and done more on my own. And waiting for them to include me in something, that is just a waste of time. So I say, fuck you guys. I'm going to where I'm wanted, where I'm loved, where I'm appreciated, where I'm accepted. You can be a family over here. You can all be family with each other, but I'm doing my own thing over here. And whether you like it or not, I am a part of the family. Hell, whether I like it or not, I am a part of the family. You don't have to include me. You don't even have to acknowledge me. You can disown me. I don't care. The bloodline is such that I am a part of this family, whether you like it or not. And, that doesn't stop me from living my life and being with people who actually enjoy my company. They love the fact that I'm still here and I'm in their presence, and that I do what I want to do. I was going to go up north. I was going to go in the Upper Peninsula before the summer is over, but with the gas prices being the way they are, I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, this is June 12th. I wanted to go to Mackinac Island this month, but I can't afford it because the gas prices are so high. I'm really bummed about that. I still might go. I still might go to Mackinac Island if the gas prices come down, but I hear they're supposed to go up even further, $6-7 a gallon. Excuse me. And when that happens, I'm not going anywhere. I really, I have seen and done so much in my life, and there's still so much to do. There's people that I cannot wait to meet. There's places that I cannot wait to go. I am having so much fun, and I love the fact that people acknowledge me. They think about me. They love me for being me. My own, supposed to be my family. They all stick to themselves, which, okay, whatever. I don't care. You guys do your thing. I'm going to do mine. But it's really annoying to me when at funerals, we can't get through a single funeral without someone saying, well, we really got to get together outside of a funeral parlor because this is getting old. That's obvious. Thank you for pointing out the obvious. We all know this, but who's going to make the first move? Who's actually brave enough to say, yeah, I'll run a pavilion for a day. We can all get together and just enjoy each other's company. That never fucking happens, because even if it did happen, there's still going to be tons of relatives that they're not going to care to speak with me, and I'm really not going to care much for speaking with them. Although I am always a person who says communication is important. You have to talk out your problems. But there's too much ego getting in the way. Maybe perhaps my own. I don't know. I would always be willing to talk with someone whenever there's an issue. I'm usually the first person to say, hey, if there's a problem, let's talk about it. But it's the ego. These people think that they're so much better than I am, and I'm just down here. Well, let them think what the fuck they want. Okay? I'm an atheist. I'm sure the family's going to know that now. I'm sure most of the family wouldn't appreciate the fact that I'm an atheist, because when they hear the word atheist, they think something horrible. Well, and there is that. There's people who don't always know what my religious beliefs are. I don't make it secret. I don't keep it a secret on my YouTube channel. I have pointed this out many times, that I am an atheist, and that's it. I'm not convinced of religious teachings anymore, and I need some hard evidence to convince me otherwise. I'm sure there's going to be lots of family who watch this and they're going to think, oh, Jared is an atheist. Oh, he doesn't believe in the same batshit crazy things that I do. Not anymore. You know, but you know, it's more than just religious beliefs or it's a history of family who they think they're better than everybody else. That's always been the case. And every family has that. Every family has the snob, the stuck-up bitch, the rude asshole. Every family has that. And when I've tried to make peace with people, talk with people, it's always fake. Fake smiles, fake hugs. They act like they give a shit when they don't. They just try to make it look good because, you know, they want to make it look good for the moment. Once the funeral or whatever is done, they go right back to the person they were. They don't give a fuck about me. They think they're better than me. Let them think what they want. Let them think what they want. I don't care. And the fact that, yes, I did grieve for my grandpa. People grieve in different ways. Okay. Not everybody cries at funerals, and not everybody is neutral. Some people take it really super hard, like I did. I cried like a fucking baby at my grandpa's funeral because I just seen him 2 days before his death. So coupled with that, it makes it that much more difficult to deal with. And I had this feeling, it's like I can almost sense it when people are looking at me, they're staring at me, like I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it when people are staring at me, like I'm drawing attention to myself, and that's not what it was about. A lot of the cousins don't understand that I was there. I saw my grandpa on the floor. I saw his dead body on his kitchen floor. And they can't understand why I had taken it particularly harder than the other cousins, because I was actually there a lot, and I was there the day we found him. And again, like I said, it's not a pissing match. It's not a comparison. It's not a competition. But they can't understand why I had taken it particularly hard. They just gawk on like, oh, look at him. What's he so upset about? What's he so angry about? I'm very angry. I was very upset. But you know, there's that to contend with. And so with that being said, I just don't care. I just don't care what any of them think. I did what I had to do. I went over to help Grandpa. I went over to see Grandpa. I was there when we found him on the floor. I'm having a very difficult time getting that out of my head. I'm having a difficult time accepting the fact that my grandpa is never coming back. All the other stuff I mentioned, you know, the snooty, snobby relatives, that's not even a problem with me. That's not even an issue. But there is that somewhere in the, because the family is dying off, and I already have relatives that I don't talk to anyway. So it's like, who is there then? Because the patriarch of our family's gone, and then I have relatives who just think that they're they're up here, and I'm just a bottom feeder. So there's always that to contend with. There's always something to deal with along the line. And when funerals come up, someone dies. Oh, well, we need to get together. You know that's not going to happen. So why waste your fucking time? Why waste your breath? You and I both know deep down that this is never going to be a thing. It's never going to be a reality. And if it is, it's only going to be for the particular family members who are up each other's asses anyway. It's not going to include the black sheep, me. It's going to be the rest of them. And most assuredly, I would probably feel uncomfortable being around people who I can't stand, let alone can they stand me. So we need to just jettison this idea that that the families are going to get together, because it's never going to happen. But we are at the end of the show. We are at the top of the hour. It's 4:00. My name is Jared Fuller, aka the Jared Bear. It's great to be back. It's been a rough couple weeks, like I said, but I'm getting through it. Dad's getting through it. And we will do everything we can to keep the ball rolling. I'm sure the autopsy results are going to come out very soon. We're just anxiously waiting. And it's tough, but we're going to make it. We're going to get through it. And if you have been one of my friends who's been texting me, checking up on me, messaging me, calling me, emailing me, I love you for that. Thank you. I appreciate the love and concern because I probably couldn't have gotten through it without you. And I'm just doing what I can just to get through the day. So for Dad and Amy, usually I turn the floor over to Dad and Amy to get their final word in. They're not here to give that. Dad would say, have a good week. Amy would say, look after each other, peace out, that kind of thing. But I'm out myself. I got things to do. Much love to all of you. Very much. I will be back next week, which is June 19th, 3 o'clock Eastern time, same channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Get the notification. And I'll see you next week. So thanks again for the love and the concern and the condolences. Take care, guys.